I now call this meeting to order of the Portales Planning and Zoning Commission. We all stand and say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag, state of Mexico, the citizen, for the friendships among the United Country.
If you guys have noticed, Miss Tammy is not here, so I'm going to be attempting to do what she normally does. It will not be done quite as flawlessly. So for roll call, Mr. Christensen is absent. Mr. Cole,
Present.
Ms. Baca, here. Mr. Watkins,
Here.
Mr. James,
Here.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
We do have a quorum. Approval of the minutes.
Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from last meeting? Yes. I have a motion to approve.
Just one edit, salute is misspelled. So that was the only thing I saw. I mean, something very minor, but salute S-A instead of S-O. So,
Perfect, we'll get that done.
other than that,
I make the motion that we approve with the change.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Good to go.
So we have to elect a vice chair for the Planning and Zoning Commission. This will be to replace Ms. Beverly, who's turned in her resignation. You guys can elect an official vice chair at this meeting, or you can do a vice chair just for this meeting if you would like to wait for Mr. Christensen to get back to officially do the vote. It is whatever you guys would like to do.
Then we just go ahead and select one.
I'd say we go ahead and install.
Agreed.
So. What's the process?
You would just do your nomination. Say, I would like to nominate someone seconds it, and we'll do a roll call. Of yes and no's, and the yeses have it, then that's the new vice chair, and they will take over the meeting for the rest of the duration.
I would like to nominate Mrs. Baca.
Second.
Third.
Ms. Baca, do you accept your nomination? All right.
Do I need to move or am I okay sitting right here?
You're okay to sit there if you'd like.
Awesome.
Perfect. Okay, I'll just do a roll call to make sure we are all in agreement. Mr. Christensen is not here. Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Ms. Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
and Mr. Davis.
Yes.
The motion passes. Congratulations, Ms. Baca. You are now our vice chair, and the meeting is yours.
Thank you.
Talk into the microphone, please.
Sorry. Let's move on to new business. Before us is a public hearing for resolution number PC 2025 2026 -01. It's a resolution providing for a special use permit at the address of 118 West Olive Street for the purpose of providing daycare services, submitted by Angela J. Pena. I entertain a motion to enter a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cole, a second by Mr. Davis. We are now in the special public hearing. Miss Laura, if you want to give us the back history on this.
Yes, ma'am. So this application is for a special use permit at 118 West Olive for the purpose of operating a daycare. So as we know, our ordinance states that all daycares within the municipality in R1 or any zone has to have a special use permit for operation. So this application was published in Eastern New Mexico News on June 18th at And then we sent 10 certified letters to property owners. There was one for the application and one against. And then we sent 6 certified letters to public utilities where 1 was for and 0 against. The statement from the protester was listed as followed. Sex offender lives in the area. We have not been able to verify that that's true. And then also with the process of becoming licensed, she will have to go through the state. And I'm sure that, they also check things like that. No parking for parents, bad crossing from Olive to North Main, and that mobile homes are dangerous and flammable. And then Ms. Pena is here to speak on behalf of her application, but if you have any questions for me, I'll stand for those.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Pena, do you want to state anything for this or against it? Or sorry, not against, but for this?
If you want to use swearing in real quick. Perfect. All right, we'll come up to the podium. All right, ma'am, if you'll state your first and last name for the record.
Angela Pena.
Perfect. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that you will testify truthfully here under penalty of law?
I do.
All right, perfect. Go ahead.
So, as it said, sex offender, I've been living at this address since 2018 and I've never heard of it. The landlord has never said anything about it. So, I really don't know why anybody would say that, so I object that part of it, so. Yeah, because I mean, we've been living there and I am taking care of kids now, I'm registered. But for me to be able to get licensed and get more children, I have to get the zoning done.
Kids, do you have any?
Right now I have 4.
How many are you to go to?
I'm trying to go up to 12 kids, but right now I'm going to 8. But if it's possible that I get past the zoning, then I want to do the 12. Because I've had a lot of parents call me and I'm like, well, I gotta do this before I can, add any more babies. So,
Is it a state requirement? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Is it a state requirement for you to have parking for parents, or why is that an issue? Is it a?
I don't think it's-
Street or?
I don't think it has anything, because nobody's told me anything about the parking. Because I have my parents, they show up, they drop off their kids and they leave right away, so they don't really occupy the parking, but there is parking for them to park.
Will it be only you that is taking care of the kids?
Yes, if I can go up to 6 kids by myself, and once I pass the 6, then I have somebody else to work with me.
And what are the ages of the children?
They will be from 6 months to 12 years old.
And that's all taken care of in the licensure from the state anyway, is it? correct?
Yes,
What about the square footage of your home compared to that? And obviously you looked into that, correct?
yes, I did, and it said. I think it said,
I didn't need to put you on the spot. I'm sorry, just.
I'm sorry, I think it said like 27 inches per child, square feet per child. I think is what it said, 27 or 17, I believe. But, so that's why I looked into it to see, how many I could have, just because of the space that we have.
Will it be outside access for them? to
Yes.
play, or-
Yes, sir.
And it's fenced.
Yes,
Does your property face Olive Street?
West Olive Street, yes.
Do you have any other questions and concerns? Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have I don't have to do that, do I?
If you would, it makes minutes a lot easier.
Yeah.
So we have a motion by Mr. Cole and a second by Mr. Watkins. We are now in closed hearing, sorry.
That's okay, it's the first time.
We're back in, not public, we're out of public hearing and I'm sorry,
So you're back in public,
Thank
out of
you.
public hearing in regular session.
regular session. Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval or a denial? Or do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Janus and a second by Mr. Cole. Can we have a roll call?
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
all right, Ms. Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Perfect, it passes.
Next item of business is a public hearing for resolution number PC 2025-2026-02. It's a resolution providing for a variance at the address of 1309 East Amazon for the purpose of maintaining a fence that does not meet Dallas Municipal Code. It's submitted by Juan Acosta. I'll entertain an action to enter into public hearing.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cole and a second by Mr. Davis. We are now in public hearing. I'm sorry. No, you're.
So this is an application for variance for a fence at 1309 East Amazon. The applicant had built the fence without permitting. And of course, this is just against the ordinance because it is 6 feet tall in what is considered the front yard area. Okay. So this is the fence. I went by and just took some pictures so you guys could see what it looks like. So this is the entrance to Mr. Acosta's property. And this is where his house is. So he just has the 6-foot fencing. And then this is the alleyway here. So he just basically has it around that area, around his house. We go to the next one, Christine. We also published this application in the Eastern New Mexico News on June 18th. We sent 10 certified letters to property owners. There was 1 for the proposal, 0 against. And then we sent 6 certified letters to utilities, and there was 0 for and 0 against. Or sorry, there was 1 from Public Utilities Board. So I think maybe it did not update on the PowerPoint, but if you have any questions, I'll stand for those.
Do we have any questions or concerns?
How far from the street? Or is it just a 6-foot fence in front?
Yeah, just a 6-foot fence. He's right on his property line, which is allowed for fencing. It's just that it's too tall, by our regulations for our ordinance that it's in the front yard area, so.
Is it blocking any view? It doesn't look like there's a,
No, so the corner is where
the alley runs.
garage sit. Is the corner street, and so it's, the fence itself is set back from that. And then, yeah, that's an alleyway, and it is back on his property line, so. And I don't think there's any dumpsters down that alleyway, from what I recall seeing.
So
Yeah, I don't think it's like a utilized alleyway, so.
I did go by this property and it actually improves that area. Do we have anybody in the public that would like to speak on this? No. Any from the council?
Do we know if the building in the back there, is it private or is it a business or?
Is it the garage you're speaking of?
Looks like a metal building there,
This one? Or right here?
the brown one. Your left, yeah.
This building, so this is part of his property he built after he bought it, and he did get that permitted. He just didn't get the fence permitted. So. But yeah, that whole lot is his property. Or I think it's actually 2 lots. Cause he has his house, and then there's the roof with the red roof, that building was already there. So they had replatted it a while back and he moved in a mobile home and built the garage. And then later on built the fence.
Any other questions and concerns? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Cole, a second from Mr. Janus. We are now in regular session. I will entertain a motion for an action on this.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Janus to approve, second from Mr. Cole. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
This passes.
Going on to the next action is the public hearing for resolution number PC 2025 2026 03. It's a resolution providing for a variance at the platted but undeveloped road known as South Avenue P for the purpose of developing the road, which would not meet Patel's municipal code standards submitted by Billy Neese. I will entertain the action to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cole, a second by Mr. Watkins. Miss Laura, can you give us the back history?
Yes, ma'am. So this application is for variance of construction standards for the road of South Avenue P. So Mr. Neese is a developer here in Portales. So there's like a flag. And he's working on developing this area right here. So this is the Catholic church and then this is and he's already built is it a duplex or duplex here. And so now he's working on building individual homes here on this lot. It's actually, I think, 7 or 8 lots individually. But as you know, when we have developments, we do require the road to be brought in to our code, which, let me pull that out really quickly. So the design standards for the city of Portales, curb and gutter is required to be constructed on all streets and avenues. And then it is all curb and gutter shall be constructed in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So, and then also for local streets, the right of way width is supposed to be 60 feet. So part of the issue with the street itself, so here's some pictures of the area right here. So it is a designated roadway. And I'm not sure why, but it's only platted to be about 30 feet wide. So it already does not meet that 60-foot standard. And what Mr. Neese is asking for is to pave it. Oh my gosh, so he wants to do it with chip seal, but no curb and gutter. So that's the variance that he's applying for. And then Mr. Neese is here. And then we also published this in the Eastern New Mexico News on June 18th. We sent 8 certified letters to property owners in the area. We didn't have any response from property owners. And then we sent 6 certified letters to public utilities and we had 1 for and 0 against. So I'll stand for any questions. And then as I said, Mr. Neese is also here.
Does that street connect with a street on either end, or is it?
So it does not, if we go back to the other. So, it's actually over here. And it's cute, so it kind of skips. And I'm not really sure why. There is 15th lane here and then 17th lane here, so both of those roads are intact. But this street in particular does not line up with anything. But when we spoke with the streets department about it, they said that they would just consider it a continuation of South Avenue P, and then also addressing said that he would be okay with that.
Access for emergency vehicles, all that's fine. It doesn't go all the way through, right?
So it goes all the way through to 15th. Yeah.
It's got from 15th through to 17th, so it's got access on both ends.
So basically just the property of the Catholic Church. So it skips a block, but 15th and 17th it does have access to.
alley in between.
Yeah, and there's an alleyway between the Super 8 and the on the other side. This is just where the South Avenue P would be.
City's position is they're okay.
So as we have with all roads that aren't gonna meet standard, we just ask that they be responsible for taking care of the road and not the city, because since it's not up to standard, it will eventually have more issues than roads that are brought in up to standard.
Who is they?
So it would be the developer.
So whenever he sells these homes later on, he's still responsible for the.
So it depends how you would like to amend the resolution, if you want to specifically put it in that the developer is responsible or put it in as the potential homeowners will be responsible. From what I understand with Mr. Neese, he is working with this program to build low income housing. So it would be more affordable homes for people. So
So I guess I'm not understanding why the city doesn't keep the upkeep, maintain the upkeep whenever that is an entrance to residents.
So I can answer that because it's not brought up to standard, it does not apply for a lot of grants. We have to build them to the standard that the grants ask for. So when we say, hey, this road is broken down, we need to redo it. It does get flagged that this road has not been brought to standard, so the city rather has to pay extra to bring it to the standards it's in, or pocket the money to keep it without the curb and gutter, or we have to pay to bring the curb and gutter in.
and also at the width it's at, I don't think it would meet any qualifications for grant either. Because as I said, typically, I think we have to have at least 45 feet for local roads, according to the state, I believe is what I remember. And so with it being only 30 feet width of road, the city would have to either take property on either side to potentially bring it up to code.
So as it stands now, as a person purchases a lot, they will take responsibility for their portion of that road.
It depends how you want to approve the resolution.
So we do have roads within the city limits that were not brought up to code, and it was left to the property owners to maintain it if they wanted to do so. And that was part of why the city allowed it to be brought into the city, but not be brought up to the code and the standards that the city requires of its roads.
I'm just concerned down the road as all those lots get sold. Can that group come together if they needed to redo that road? And
So that is an issue specifically, I know on Rogers Road. There was one gentleman who was like, I'll pay to have the road redone, but it's gonna end here because no one else wanted to help with restoring that. And so, as I mentioned, you can put it on the property owners, the potential property owners, or on the developer who's developing the area to then be responsible to continue coming back and keeping up with the road.
And it's all because the road isn't gonna be the 45 or 60 feet is why he's able.
I mean, I
to do
can,
the-
if you wanna let Mr. Neese speak, specifically on that, but I think mostly just cost wise.
Well, I understand that. I'm just thinking, kick that can down the road and how's that gonna be maintained?
I don't believe he should be liable if he
Yeah,
sells
I
them.
think it's- yeah.
I don't either, but I'd see a hard time for all that many people coming together on a decision to make something done.
And we have had roads that we didn't, a lot of that, we said, hey, the city will be responsible for some of the half roads. And because they are half roads, we are already getting maintenance requests for them. So brand new roads, or people are driving off the sides and they're cracking. And so we have had those maintenance requests come in. And if if it had been the full road, we wouldn't see those maintenance requests yet. So they're added to the city's maintenance, they're just low on the list because they are rarely driven and they're relatively brand new.
Just be setting a precedent, because I know a lot of
So he is wanting to do the chip seal, and so it's a little bit different than what has been approved in the past, as those were, I think, concrete or, I think the one that was approved for, Ithaca was part concrete and then part just like caliche. So I don't really think we have like a set precedence at this point, or it's kind of. So he's willing to develop it with chip seal, just not the curb and gutter.
I think that was why a lot of contractors or developers quit building because of the cost of having to do the streets like that.
So I guess my issue is that if the city isn't gonna maintain it, because it doesn't meet the requirements, and he's gonna have to go over there and maintain it, why is it a question of curb and guttering it?
That's just what our design standards state in our ordinance. So if you want to allow it to not be done and leave it to the city, then you would just approve the variance as it is. And basically it would go on our list of repairs. How often it would get repaired, I can't really say.
I mean, if the city isn't, because it's already saying that the city's not gonna maintain it because it can't get grants because it doesn't reach the standards and stuff. I do not see why we are telling him curb and gutter it, even though city's not has no liability on it. I
So
guess
that's only if you amend the resolution to say the city has none. As it's written right now, he would be approved to develop the road with just the chip seal. And it would, since once it becomes a developed street, then it would fall under the being taken care of by the city.
Our request is if you don't do curb and gutter, then the city isn't liable. But if he does the curb and gutter and develops it to the best of the standards he can for the city does take ownership of that road.
And that's what's happened in the past is they do that and they want the city to take care of it.
Correct. And if it's not brought up to our standards, the city then has to bring it up to the standards so we can take care of it. So the city pays quite a bit of money, so the developers save quite a bit of money. You want development, so it's something we bring to you guys to make that decision on. We're providing more houses and increasing the city's responsibility for paying for those roads. So that's kind of something we bring to you guys to make that decision.
This still will go before the full council.
Yes.
What's the city's stance on it? Did we already cover that? We talked about a lot.
Yeah, so basically ours would just be what our recommendation is that if no curb and gutter, then the city would not be responsible for maintaining it.
He would have, sure, and that was in the.
Yeah,
when he
so
sells properties that owners see that and know that they're responsible for the roads.
yeah.
Mr. Neese, did you want to address any of this?
I was gonna say that. 17th Street.
You might want to.
Yeah, feel free
Maria
to
to be
say
sworn
something to
in.
me. All right, will you state your first and last name for the record?
Billy Neese.
Perfect. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to affirm that you will testify truthfully here in penalty of law?
Yes.
Perfect. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, 17th Street running in front of it, it has no curb and gutter, and 15th tying into it has no curb and gutter. So I don't know why we couldn't just tie them chip seal and call it good.
So is your desire to sell these properties and they become responsible for the road?
Yes, so it's kind of hard trying to build affordable housing, and I don't know, people buying these, I don't know how they're gonna be able to do that.
But at some point, cities already having troubles keeping up good roads.
Yeah.
At some point, this is just gonna be added to that,
Mhm.
unless it's kind of brought up to some kind of a standard to kind of help out.
Yeah.
That's probably why there's not been any development on some of the properties around them.
Mhm.
So I just have to interject here because where I live, it's a 30-foot road, chip filled. No curb, no gutter. So I guess I'm kind of in between here because I can understand him trying to make affordable homes and stuff like that. And I just don't see how we can make him liable for the repair of the road. Or if he decides to sell it, how we can make them liable for the road. To me, I believe that the access to the homes is the city's responsibility.
But it's not gonna be for this code with the width and curb and gutter.
Correct.
But you're saying where you live, it's 30 foot, but doesn't have.
Same thing.
It'll, so if we approve it, they'll be responsible, but it'd be at the very bottom of the incentive list. So that's kind of where it's at is, I think it'll get to a point where it'll get all torn up and it'll kind of stay that way, like some other.
That was my thought.
Some other, so that was kind of the, because I don't think the city's saying they won't be responsible. I mean, they'll pay, but it'll be like right down at the bottom. Whereas if it was up to code, to get grants for it. So yeah, that's trade-offs.
You have any other questions and concerns?
I'm just concerned that if it stays with chip seal, that eventually it's gonna get so rough and so. It'll get plowed and become Coachy Road.
And we have the Caliche Road on the one residence, correct? Where they just had put in a Caliche Road.
It was
On the-
part cement and then part.
So many feet, yeah, and the rest all,
Yeah.
yes. Like Ithaca, because.
Yes.
Mhm.
Could he possibly do the same thing? Do partial concrete as it goes down the road? Like we did on it?
I think we'd have to ask him if he's even willing to do that.
But
Or at the least, as he goes along, curb and gutter it. We don't want to do that because we have places that are like that we're in trouble already.
Okay, so here's what I'm gathering. If we approve the way it's come to us. You chip seal 15 feet. You can sell the homes. The city. Can be responsible for it, but it's very low priority. Am I getting that correct?
More than likely correct, yes.
But
It
it
would
would
be
be
the
the
full
full
30
30
feet.
feet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this isn't for a half road. It's just specifically to do chip seal with no curb and gutter.
Same, what I was just saying, everything was
Yeah,
still the same.
everything else is the same. No problem.
Any other,
If we could okay it without making a decision on the street, then full council will still hear this.
right,
I just don't know if we can do that.
I think your motion would have to be accepting it as is or adding something to it.
Accept it as is and let the full city council make a decision on the road.
If that's something you like to do, that is definitely something you can make your motion would be to accept application as is with the exceptions, which would be no curb and gutter. And if you don't add the extra, the city's not responsible, then it would move forward with the chip seal, no curb and gutter, with the city being responsible for the maintenance in the future.
But it's low priority.
which I'm
It's
sure
just
he understands that it's low priority if there's any kind of potholes, but then again, foretells the whole pothole. So, but it's going to be on the lowest of the low.
If I may. So with it not being an arterial street, it's not gonna see the semi traffic and the heavy load traffic. So it will hold up a lot longer. Which is a positive for this project. And yes, it would probably fall at the bottom end of the priority list as far as grant funding. That doesn't mean that the city won't use the limited funding that's available if the need arises and council approves.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Davis, a second by Mr. Cole. We are now in regular session. I will entertain a motion. I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Make a motion, we approve it as written.
Second.
Right.
You're okay.
Oh, thank you. About-
We're all learning today.
Suspense.
Who are we gonna give that second to? That was pretty,
So
I'll give it to Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis, okay.
I have a motion for approval from Mr. Janus. I have a second from Mr. Davis. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item of business is a public hearing for resolution number PC 2025 2026 04. It's a resolution providing for a variance at the address of 309 East 11th Street for the purpose of building a carport that would not meet Patel's municipal codes, submitted by Zachary Williams. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cole, a second by Mr. Davis to go into public hearing. Ms. Laura, can you give us back history?
Yes, ma'am. So our applicant, Mr. Zachary Williams, came in asking what would be required to build a carport. And when we took a look at his property, and I gave him the regulations, he said that's not really gonna work with how my property is laid out. And I know this map looks like he's off of his property line, but the maps are not 100% correct. So I'll just put that out there. So yeah, this is a variance for a carport. We go to the next one, Chris. So it is a 10 by 15 foot carport. So the total square footage is 150. He has his side setback would be about 19 feet. He has 8 foot of fencing and then 11 feet of his house. And then from the front setback is what he would need the variance for. It would only be about 5.5 feet. So from his house to the front curb is only about 21. It's 21 feet here and 21.5 feet here. So if he puts in a 15-foot carport, he's just not really getting that 10-foot setback. But with the way his house was developed, it's just not there for him to use. So will you go to the next one, Miss Christine? So this is a picture of the property. So you can kind of see that it would sit where that white car is located, and it would be off the sidewalk area there. Next one, Miss Christine. So we did publish this application in the Eastern New Mexico News on June 18th. We sent 11 certified letters to property owners. There was none for or against the application. We sent 6 certified letters to public utilities. There was 1 for the proposal and 0 against. And if you have any questions, I'll stand for those. And Mr. Williams is also here to speak on behalf of his application.
Do we have any questions or concerns? Anybody?
Can we go back to the picture of the home?
Yes.
So is the carport gonna encroach the sidewalk that's in front of the little fence?
So the sidewalk should be about 5 feet, so it should sit back, if he's coming, if he has 21 feet from here back, it shouldn't encroach on the sidewalk there.
So there's gonna be no support poles in the ground right there on the sidewalk. Right.
I mean, it would, but it would be on his property.
That's what I'm saying. So they
Yeah.
could still,
It's
Probably gonna be like right on his property line, whereas typically it's supposed to be 5 feet from the property line. But with this area, with the way his home was developed, it's not really possible, so.
So I have a question. We're about ready to go over one that we approved the last time that we came into this meeting.
Mhm.
Carport, exact same thing. City council is making us review it again.
So the ordinance for variances states that if, you know, there is a circumstance where a variance is needed, particularly this situation where he just absolutely doesn't have the room to meet those setbacks. I think I don't want to say it's different, but it is a little different to where someone has room to meet those setbacks and they just don't want to because they need it for specific reasons, such as holding more than 2 vehicles or whatever.
And as someone who was at the meeting, a big problem with the last carport was that it was built
Without
without a permit.
Mhm.
This one has not been built yet. So that was a big hang up for council on that last one was,
Seeking
fact it hasn't been
forgiveness
built.
rather than permission.
yes, they're seeking permission as it has not been built yet.
Mhm.
Do anybody in the public would like to speak on this or? Being no other questions or comments, I entertain the motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cole, a second by Mr. Watkins, everybody, oh my gosh, for approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. We are now in regular session. I will entertain a motion, consider a motion for approval or denial.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Janus, and a second by Mr. Cole. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Perfect, it passes.
Next item of business is a recommendation of resolution number PC 2024 2025 45. It's a resolution providing for a variance at the address of 614 West 15th Street for the purpose of maintaining a carport that does not meet the Taos Municipal Code, passed unanimously at P and Z on June 2nd and denied by the City Council on June 17th.
Yes, so when Mr. Garcia came here for the variance on his carport, that did not meet the front yard setback, and it was also, the square footage was over. He was approved. When he went on to planning, to city council, they thought he should move it back to where it's supposed to be, on the setback. And that, we go to the next one. We'll just go over their comments and write them down. So the reasons for the denial per the city council, that they shouldn't give exceptions for front setbacks, could potentially block the view of the trash truck driver coming out of the alleyway. The property owner did not get a permit, and there was a comment, you know, that particularly maybe use this as an example for future developments, for people who don't get permits ahead of time. So those were the comments from the city council. And when I spoke to Mr. Garcia, he came in, he said, what do I need to do to bring my carport into compliance? I said, well, you need to push it back off the street, and then it has to be smaller. So he was willing to bring it back to the 10 feet setback, but he still needed the 30 foot. And so it would still be about, I think, 500 or 100 feet over the square footage. So in order to reapply, since his first application was denied, he does have to have approval from the planning commission or city council to apply before 6 months. So that is what he was asking for. So basically he would move it back, but it would still be at 600 square feet, which is 100 foot over the maximum 500 square feet. And he stated it's because he needs the 30 feet to fit all of his vehicles under the carport.
And we are just requesting to see if you would like it to come back as a new application to be able to reapply before the 6 months. If you say yes, then he can bring the application to our next public hearing and then to city council if it's approved. If you deny it, then unless city council requests for it to be sent back, he would not be able to reapply for another 6 months.
I don't see why there should be an issue with bringing it back. We already approved the whole thing. And now all he's needing to do, what he's wanting to meet us in the middle. I mean, we've already approved the square footage. And he's wanting to come back and he's saying, I will give by setting it back further, but he would like to have the square footage. I don't have an issue with him coming back. We've already voted on it. It was the city council that had denied it. So I say we let him come back. Does this have to have a vote or how?
It's just a recommendation, so it's not an official vote, but if you'd like to A and A, we can just make sure the A's have it, or the A's have it.
Anybody who is for it, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And it approves.
Then we'll bring it back our next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other business? Does anybody,
We are hiring for a part-time code enforcement officer. They're very utilized when we have them. We're having a hard time filling the position. So if you know of anybody that is looking for some part-time work, part-time code enforcement officer would be a lot of help.
What was the, an officer doing, what was it?
Code enforcement.
Okay.
And then, as I stated in the email, so this is the last meeting where I'll have the hard copy packets. But when you arrive, I'll still email them to you. And then they will still be posted on the city website as well. But when you arrive here, you'll have an iPad that you'll be able to look at the packet with.
Y'all get fancy.
We're gonna save some paper.
We figured than that.
Come with a magnifying glass for Gary.
there any other business that needs to be addressed? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to dismiss for adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cole and a second by Mr. Davis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Right, thank you.